So this is how you take your round neck measurement. You take your measuring tape, pick up your shirt and start to measure from one end of the shirt neck to the other end. You can see the way I am placing my tape right now. I started from the tip of one end of where the button allowance starts from. After doing that, you connect from the half inch on the extreme end to the middle point which you have marked. So I'll use a straight line to connect these 2 points together. Hello guys, you're welcome back to Valmich Fits. Here we'll learn tips, tricks and techniques of making beautiful and amazing outfits. Please click on the subscribe button and hit on the notification bell to stay updated on all our tutorial videos. Now let's get straight into the tutorial. So guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to draft, cut and stitch a shirt collar. In making a shirt collar of any kind, you have to be very intentional about your round neck measurement. If not, your shirt collar is going to be either too tight or too loose, and I'm sure you don't want that. So this is how you take your round neck measurement. You take your measuring tape, pick up your shirt and start to measure from one end of the shirt neck to the other end. You can see the way I am placing my tape right now. I started from the tip of one end of where the button allowance starts from, measuring it very carefully to make sure my fabric neckline is not squeezed or folded in between. Otherwise, it's going to affect the measurement of your shirt collar when cutting. Just make sure to take this measurement at least 2 to 3 times before cutting your collar. If you take this measurement about 3 times and you have same measurement come out like twice while one is slightly different, then go ahead to use the measurement that came out twice. So for my shirt neckline measurement, I have about 16.5 inches as you can see here. So this is the first measurement I am taking. I am going to repeat the measurement to be very sure of what I got, because this measurement is what I'm going to use to draft my shirt collar. So let me repeat this measurement. If it comes out with same number, I would go with it, but if it comes out differently, I'm going to repeat the measurement again, because actually this is where your shirt collar mistake starts from. If you don't get this right, then whatever you're going to be doing later on is going to be a very difficult task for you. You can even take your measurement inch by inch to be very sure of it. So now, repeating the measurement, I still have my 16.5 inches as you can see. Now I have measured this neckline twice and I have same numbers, so I'm going to go ahead to draft my neck collar with the measurement. Now this is the main deal. Guys, make sure you pay attention and watch closely on what I am doing. First of all, this is a non-woven interface, not a mere paper. It can be used for shirt collars, sleeve cuffs, and even trouser plackets. So this is what I'll be using to cut my shirt collar. To do this, I'll be using the exact measurement gotten from the shirt round neck measurement without adding any seam allowance. So what I'm going to do here is to divide the measurement I got, which was 16.5 inches, into 2, which now is about 8.2 inches. I'm going to place it like so on my interface, as you can see, then use my pencil to mark this point. So I have marked out the 8.2 inches like so, and I'm going to rule a straight line to indicate where this measurement stops. Now the next step I'll be taking is to draft out the first layer, which is the layer that will be sewn directly to the shirt neckline. I'll be using 1.2 inches for this, but you can decide to use just 1 inch since it's a female shirt. For a male shirt, you can go as much as 1.5 inches. So I have marked out the 1.2 inches there. I'm going to do the same thing on this end. I'll do same thing on the middle point and then connect all these points together with a straight line. So after that, the next thing I'll be doing is to curve out this edge like so, just the way you are seeing me doing it. Or you can use a measuring tape to measure in about 3/4 inch from this angle 90. Then on this lower part, I'm going to go up by half of an inch. This is because our neck is curved and not straight. So for it to sit properly on our neck, you have to do this. Now the next step I'll be taking is to divide this measurement again into two. After doing that, you connect from the half inch on the extreme end to the middle point which you have marked. So I'll use a straight line to connect these 2 points together. Now the first layer is formed, let's go to the next. Guys, make sure you pay attention to this very part. So here I'll go in by 1 inch and I'll come up here and also mark out 1 inch. So I'll connect these 2 points together. We are about to form the other part of the shirt collar, so make no mistake. So I'll go up by 2.5 inches on this point, and on this other end I'll go up by 1.2 inches, just the same measurement I used for the first layer. Reason why I did this is so that after bending your collar, it will not be poking you on your neck. So the next thing to do is to connect these 2 points together with a fine curve line. That is connecting the 2.5 inches from this end to the 1.2 inches on the other end. On this point, I'll just stretch it out more with about half of an inch and then connect it back to this end. Guys, you know that sharp edge you see on your shirt collar? That is the point that looks like a V shape. Yes, that is what we just created there. So guys, our shirt collar is ready. Now I'm going to cut this out into two. That's dividing the piece together before cutting on my main fabric. Now that you have seen how to draft your shirt collar, make sure you follow this process step by step. So guys, I have my two pieces cut out here, the first and the second layer. So now let's use these pieces to cut on our main fabric. Now I'm going to arrange a piece of fabric enough to cover up for the length of my interface. So I have placed the second layer on my fabric, and here is where we'll be adding all seam allowances. So I'll be including half of an inch seam allowance all round this interface. So the half of an inch seam allowance will be on my main fabric. I have cut out the first piece, and please take note, I cut it out in two. Don't worry, I'm going to explain to you why it's in two. You can see my seam allowance rounded, so let's cut the other layer. So now I'm going to fold my fabric also in two. Yes, I'll place my interface on it and then also add half of an inch seam allowance. So guys, just follow closely. Remember, this is the first layer that will be stitched directly to your shirt neckline. So this is the longer one and it's the exact measurement with the shirt neckline. Now I'm going to separate this particular one in two. So I'm going to be separating the fabric in two. Meanwhile, the first one, I didn't separate it. I cut it in two, but it was still not separated. So I'll take this away to my pressing table to fuse on my interface, and then I'll bring it back. So guys, I have fused on my interface with my pressing iron. So I'm going to cut off some of this excess I won't be needing. Actually, this top and the sides should be trimmed to just 1/4 inch to reduce the excess, while the lower part, which is the straight line that will be stitched to this very layer, will be left with half of an inch. So I'm trimming off all the excess from this first layer, and it's time to start stitching all these pieces together. I would start stitching from the sides of the bigger collar. So I'll start it from the side up to the top, down to the other side. Make sure you stitch really close to this interface, but not on the lower part. Guys, when stitching, make sure to stitch this end very tight so it doesn't loosen when fixing this big collar to the smaller collar. Just do a front and back stitch on that side, then continue your stitching down to the other side of it. After that, I'm going to open up this end to separate it. So now let's move to the next step. Here I'm using my hemming gum to close up one side of the half inch left on the first layer or the first collar. This is the longest side of the small collar. So I'm using my hemming gum to bend over the half inch in, leaving that particular side to be exact with my interface. So I am ironing the front of it to make it smooth, and then don't worry, you don't have to get confused. I am going to show you this step by step, so just follow and pay attention. Now this is done, let's go to the next. Here I have the bold piece. For the smaller collar, this is the area that will be stitched to the big collar. So for the big one, I have stitched the sides and also the top of this collar. I have trimmed off the excesses, and for this edge, make sure to trim it really low so it will be easy for you to turn this over. So when you turn it over and use your scissors or something sharp to poke it out, it will be easy for you to do. Apart from collars, any dress with sharp edges like this should be trimmed low so you can have that very structure. So now the next thing I'll be doing here is to take this to my pressing table to iron very flat. In that way, it's going to look really neat and come out very sharp. So guys, make sure you do same thing if you want your shirt collar to look neat and sharp. Alright, let's move to the next step. So I have pressed my big collar down. I've pressed it flat. You can see how it looks like right now. Now I'm going to top stitch this side of it, starting from the 1/4 inch from the side through the front down to the other side. If you remember, I cut out two fabrics for the smaller collar. Now is the time to use it. So I am going to place the big collar on the other piece of the small collar. Make sure this line is very straight and well aligned. But before I do anything, I'll indicate the middle point of this big collar with a notch. So you can see how I folded it together, and I'm going to use my scissors to give it a little notch on the middle point. After that, I'll do the same thing for the small collar. So just bend this edge over where your interface stops. Just bend it over and fold it just the way you see me do it. And make sure the edges are equal to each other. After folding, then also give it a little notch on the middle point. Please take note, where you are notching is on the side with the 1/2 inch left to stitch this very one with the big collar. So this side that has the interface on the big collar is where I will place the small collar with interface. So I'm going to align the both of them. On the part that is notched, I'll make sure it is well aligned. You can see I didn't bother much about the bigger fabric because it is big enough to cover up the both piece. So now I'm going to stitch on this side really close to the interface and then stop before I get to the end of this edge. Guys, don't complete your stitching on this end, just leave about 1/4 inch before you get to the end. Do the same thing on this other side, and don't worry, you will understand as we move forward why that was done. So I'll take this to my sewing machine to stitch just as I have said, and then this part will be flipped over after stitching. But I'll do this and then bring it back to show you guys the next step. So I have gone ahead to stitch the parts that I said earlier, and I'm just going to trim off this excess to reduce the bulkiness, and you can see how I left the 1/4 inch on this part. So that's it over there. The next thing is to flip this over to cover up this rough edge. So I'm just going to flip it like so and then poke out the edges. I'll use my scissors to poke out the edges so it will come out very fine. So after doing this, I'll do same thing for this other side. So guys, the next thing I'll be doing here is to reduce this big piece to 1/4 inch, not 1/2 inch but 1/4 inch, because I still have 1/4 inch that wasn't stitched earlier. So that quarter and this quarter makes together 1/2 inch. That's what I'll be using to stitch this collar to the shirt neckline. So cross-checking my measurement after stitching, I still have my 16.5 inches intact. Now our collar is ready. It is that easy and it is that simple. So it is ready to be fixed to the shirt neckline, and this is how you go about it. You take your collar, place it on your shirt neckline and start exactly from where your buttonhole allowance starts from, or your shirt placket. Make sure the edge of the collar and your shirt edge align, and then lift this part of this particular place and start to stitch with 1/2 inch. You start your stitching from where you stopped stitching your collar, that is the 1/4 inch left earlier on your collar. After doing that, you flip it over to the other side and then top stitch on this side. So I'll do the first one and show you guys. So this is the first part I stitched, and then I'll go ahead to complete my stitching. So I have finished up my collar stitching, and you can see how it looks like. This is the right side of my shirt and this is the wrong side of my shirt. I haven't pressed my shirt yet, so it's a little bit rumpled after stitching. I'll do that later on. So now my shirt is ready and the shirt collar came out as beautiful as expected. So guys, I hope this video was able to show you how to make your own shirt collar, and I hope it made it easy enough for you to be able to do yours. So what's left for my shirt now is just to fix on my buttons, and after that this shirt will be ready to be worn. So guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial, and if you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and also let me know your thoughts on it by dropping your comments below. And please also help share this video so more people can get to see this to learn as well. So for now, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.